Good morning, college hoop fans. Welcome back to another week of the Three-Man Weave College Basketball Show hosted by SBRSportsbookReview.com. Our friends, our pals, we love them over there. And while I'm talking about them, why don't you head over to SBRpicks.com/NCAAB. Lots of great content there that will supplement the knowledge that we're going to give you here. And also like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/SBRsports. This channel you are currently watching. Hit that like button on this video and keep participating in the chat. We see a lot of chatter already there. Great to see on a Monday morning, even on a tiny little slate. Ky and Matt, we had a massive weekend slate, though. Lots happening on Saturday and Sunday. Ky, do you have a takeaway for me? Anything that really stood out for you over the weekend?
Yeah, Jim, I got two for you. Number one, the Big Ten is weird. Continues to be very strange. How do we figure out Illinois, guys? So we talked about getting down by 15.5 to Northwestern, then winning by 30. But then they lost to an IAA-less Maryland team. IAA-less. I'm saying
Ayala.
Ayala was out. Ayala was out. Yeah. One of Maryland's best players is out of the game. And Illinois basically led the whole way. And then Maryland beats them last 4 minutes or so. A surprising collapse for an Illinois team at home that we thought certainly could be a top 10 team currently. A lot of people still consider them so. And then also, guys, Xavier is now 5-0 in games decided by 3 or less. This team is touched by a higher power. One of those games, by the way, was in overtime. They have at least 2 buzzer beaters this year. Yeah. So, Jim, maybe the Muskies are actually the team of destiny instead of our Tigers.
Yeah, they are a little bit kissed by an angel right now.
Yes,
some of those late game moments are outrageous. They got a late turnover out of Providence yesterday. It was divine providence. We'll put it that way. Matthew, what do you got? What'd you see this weekend?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off Ky's takeaways because I know, Jim, you want to talk about some Final Four potential contenders in this show. Not to spoil it, but I just did.
Yep.
I just did. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Big Ten is weird, Ky. I'm actually looking at Wisconsin as as the team that I expect to actually emerge to the top of the totem pole here. I know Michigan is getting a ton of buzz. I'm just not ready to anoint them in the Baylor and Gonzaga tier. It seems like everyone seems to throw those three as like these three are the dominant rulers of the college basketball kingdom. I don't think Michigan has earned those stripes quite yet. So I'm still going to hold out and wait and see there.
Michigan's done nothing wrong, but they haven't really done a ton right. Their best win is over Road Minnesota, who absolutely stinks. So
right.
Hard to take them super seriously right now. All right, let's get into the slate. It is a short but sweet one today. It's only 8 total games, so we will cover probably everything. You're going to get to hear about everything you could possibly want today, Chat Mob. We're going to start in the Pac-12, the only power conference. Oh, no, there's 2. There's 2 power conference games today. Colorado headed on the road to Utah. The Rocky Mountain rivalry. Guys, I got to hit you with some facts right off the bat.
Ooh, yes.
Since the two joined the Pac-12 in 2012, Colorado is 1-9 in Salt Lake City, with their only win coming in 2012 when Utah finished 302nd in KenPom. They were a joke that year, went 6-25. So 0-9 over the last 9 years. Matt, let's go to you first. Is this the year the Buffs get it done on the road?
No, this is one of my 2 bets tonight where it's kind of a close your eyes bets. I'm going to go with the home dog here in the Utes. It's troubling because you don't have that same home court crowd to fuel the underdog. And there's an instance when the favorite starts to make those big runs, those big pushes. That said, I think this Utah team is really solid. And I think the 1-3 conference record is misleading. Lost a few close games. The Oregon game was very tight. They had a chance to win at UCLA. I just think Utah's a decent matchup here. They have some size. While they don't have the physicality, I think they have the length up front to combat Colorado's interior scoring attack. So I think the Utes have some value here at home.
Yeah, Jim, to your point, Utah did beat Colorado last year after they lost by 40 at Colorado earlier in the year. Certainly a different dynamic when these two teams visit one another's home floors. Colorado coming off that awesome Oregon win, but they've been a little less than stellar on the road this season. So advantage Buffs overall from a team perspective. Colorado certainly won me over in terms of thinking they're a legit basketball team. But I think Utah can throw some haymakers at home. It is worth noting, guys, Colorado leads the country in free throw percentage. 85.6% as a team is ridiculous. Utah, though, is 12th in the country in free throw rate allowed. That's a good stat. Colorado might not get as many trips to the line as they've been used to this season. Yeah. The Utes are actually my best bet. Utah +3. Going to lock that in and cheer for my Fighting Keith Van Horns.
I'm with you on +3, Ky. I'm going to go with the Fighting Rick Majerus, even though he's been to multiple places. I'll go with Big Rick. I'm a little
Andre
worried
Miller,
about
Andrew Bogut. Man, we can just name drop all day if we want to here.
Turtle, the Turtle.
Jakob Poeltl.
I'm a little worried about Colorado on the offensive glass. I think they could kind of clean up against Matt mentioned they don't quite Utah doesn't quite have the beef inside that maybe you'd want against Evan Batty and the interior force of Colorado, but you might not get Dallas Walton for the Buffaloes, one of their key big guys. He's been out recently, still getting him nursed back to health, and I just think Krzysztofiak kind of has Tad Boyle's number. It's shown up time and again, and I think he knows how to match up with that squad. So yeah, I'm going Utah +3 as well. I'll join you, Mr. McKeon. Excellent. All right, we're moving on to what was supposed to be the massive, huge headliner game of the Missouri Valley this year. But after we turned in our outline on Friday, Drake got COVID. The Valley had to shuffle things around. So instead of Loyola Chicago at Drake, we're going Loyola Chicago at Indiana State today. It is a rematch of the Sunday win. Loyola Chicago fell on the road after kind of dominating most of the game. Cam Krutwig got Trey Williams in foul trouble. For the Sycamores, he only played 9 minutes before fouling out. But Indiana State threw a little press on late. Loyola Chicago completely collapsed again at the Ramblers, got completely out of sorts, looked real bad down the stretch. An 18-0 run for Indiana State, seized control. Matt, let's go to you first here. What do you think in this Valley showdown?
It's interesting, Jim. You look at where the line closed yesterday. I think it was 7.5, 8, depending on what book you looked at. Loyola was up 10 most of the way. It felt like they were in control. I thought they were going to run away with it, actually. And as you mentioned, the late surge from the Sycamores, hats off to Greg Lansing for that chess match, that late game switcheroo there with the defensive strategy. This line now opens at 6.5. I should be on Indiana State here. I only made this around 3 to 4. I think the 6 are pretty legit. They played teams competitively. They should have probably split with Missouri State. They also had Drake very close until a late Drake run to help them escape. So I think the 6 team's legit. I just do not want to be swimming against the back-to-back pendulum swing currents we've seen many times where the flip-flop happens pretty drastically on the second leg there. So I think there's value on the 6. I will not be taking it though, Ky.
Yeah, Matt, you mentioned that Drake game. I'm surprised Indiana State didn't roll over yesterday like they did against Drake, because They had no problem rolling over against the Bulldogs when I did bet Indiana State in that game. They did shoot 24 for 31 from the free throw line. They probably don't get that many trips tonight. That's a huge number. And Loyola, guys, they got up 13 in the first half. They got up 12 in the second half. Loyola was kind of winning this easily for a lot of the game. I think they show everyone who's boss in this one. So I agree, Matt. My number says Indiana State, but my heart says stay away. Loyola could absolutely win this game by double digits tonight.
Yeah, I was actually on Indiana State yesterday, and now my number is right on the line because I'm giving a lot less for home in that second matchup, which is debatable in the methodology there, whether I should be doing that or not. But I think Loyola will be ready if they throw a press at them. And like Ky mentioned, Loyola controlled the game yesterday. Like, it was a late run that turned this into an Indiana State outright win. It was kind of dicey for the cover up until that point. I think they were down to 8 before that run happened. And the free throw thing, Loyola started fouling with, I think, 80 seconds left, like over a minute. So they took probably 12 free throws in that final minute and a half. So agreed, they will not get to the line that frequently. So I think it's kind of around the horn, stay away on this one. But we're nervous about Loyola in the back-to-back setting. Let's move on. Let's go back to the Big East Power Conference ball. Connecticut on the road at DePaul. UConn just thrashed Butler. DePaul got owned by Seton Hall at home. That 8-point final margin is a little deceiving. That game was like 15 to 20 points for a lot of the second half. So, Ky, you got to think UConn's the obvious bet, right?
Well, Jim, it does seem like the obvious bet. They've been extremely good all season. They didn't skip a beat against Butler despite James Bouknight being out. Cook played 6 minutes. Once he gets going, look out. I'm all aboard this UConn team. I think they're truly awesome. However, Bouknight out. DePaul's at home. It's UConn's third straight road game. This spot actually sets up really nice for the Blue Demons. The spreads come down, I think, a little bit too far for me, so I actually wouldn't take it currently, but I lean DePaul, even though I am all aboard the UConn train, guys, for this season.
Yeah, this is my official best bet of the night here. I don't feel great about it. It's probably my least confident best bet of the year, but hey, it's a small slate. We gotta pick from the litter that we have. again, rematch from when these two teams played, 2 weeks ago? UConn smashed them pretty good. It was DePaul's third game of the year. I think they bounced back here. There's a great matchup if Book Knight does play for him. Romeo Weems, one of the great, Swiss Army knife type defenders. We've talked about how we're not really sure what Dave Leitao is doing with some of the rotations. But when he puts his best 5-6 out there, this is a really good team. You get Javon Freeman-Liberty. Charlie Moore is kind of a two-headed point guard monster there. Just don't leave those guys in the pine, Dave. We need those guys to play. They can create. They can make stuff happen on both ends. And then your guy's boy, Jim, Nick Ongenda. Am I saying that correctly? I think he's enough to combat. Yeah, he's been really
an alien.
So I think he's enough to combat that size up front for the Huskies. So I will take DePaul in a begrudgingly best bet today.
Yeah, I'm taking DePaul as well. This is third straight road game in the Midwest for UConn. I could see that kind of wearing on them. They've shot 18 of 37 from deep in those first two games, basically 50%. Possibly a little colder shooting night here on the third end of that road trip. A little bit worried about the offensive glass. I mentioned this in the Utah breakdown, but UConn's number 2 in the entire country in offensive rebound rate. DePaul 325th defensive rebound rate. That's okay. I'm still taking DePaul +5. I'm joining you, Matthew. All right, let's move on. The other Valley matchup: Bradley at Northern Iowa. This one actually stays on the schedule after some of the COVID shuffling that's been going on in that conference. Looking at Northern Iowa as a short favorite, -2, -2.5-ish after winning yesterday. But Bradley was down a couple starters. Ari Boya, Danye Kingsby. We're not positive if those guys are still out. I guess they likely are, coming off Bradley's COVID shutdown. Ky, anything here after the Purple Panthers took care of business late yesterday?
Well, it was nice seeing, excuse me, it was nice seeing Northern Iowa bounce back, Jim, because this team's been struggling without AJ Green in the lineup. They were swept by Evansville. They were down to 0-4 in the Missouri Valley, very unlike the Northern Iowa team we expected the preseason. What was weird to me yesterday was neither team could stop one another. This game flew over the total. Yeah. I was on the under, and I've seen Bradley play stifling defense throughout the season. So Boya being out, probably a huge reason for that. He's also a reason I'm probably staying away in this game. I don't expect him back tonight. He and Kingsby are out, like Jim said. Also McAdoo, kind of a role player bench guy. But, the more guys you have out, those bodies stack up. It certainly makes a difference. Bradley's probably a little bit annoyed, guys, at the narrative of the Valley's a two-team race with Loyola and Drake, because Bradley's been great this season, aside from last night. They lost 3 games to Xavier, South Dakota State, and Mizzou by a combined 6 points. So ordinarily, Matt, I would lean Bradley all the way here. I'm just afraid of the injuries.
Yeah, I think I lean Bradley here too, even without Boya and the other starters you guys mentioned. Childs is plenty, he's a handful up front. I was surprised to see Fife get the better of him in that matchup. Austin Fife, these are both 2 all-conference caliber big guys. Fife more traditional, back to the basket, burly big man. Childs more of an athletic wing forward type hybrid. I was surprised to see Fife win that battle. However, I thought he made some tough shots, and especially Trey Burhoff for Northern Iowa made some, close your eyes type shots. He banked one in from about 30 feet. Felt like Bradley was in control of this game for about 36 minutes. So I think in a revenge spot in the back-to-back, they have value. I think the under has some value again, Ky. So I'll probably go back to that well again after last night's unsustainable shot making, particularly from the Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't have like a great number angle here, and the personnel deficiencies scare me on Bradley, but this feels like, I think on Saturday I said, I just think Louisiana Tech beats Western Kentucky in the second matchup, and I think Bradley finds a way to get it done in this one. These teams are too evenly matched for Northern Iowa to get a sweep without AJ Green, so
yep.
I just got to lean the Braves. Not going to make it an official bet, though. All right, normally we would take a chat mob break here, but there's only one game not even on our agenda or that we're not going to cover. So I'll say this. If you have any questions, chat mob, just in general, we can cover those at the end, maybe fire those in there. Matt and Ky can monitor those. And then after we get through these last 3 games on our slate, we will go to those. One thing we're definitely going to talk about is a quick Final Four tangent and see where we're at on those, take our temperature on potential Final Four teams. So that's the plan for the rest of the show. We'll get a chat mob break after our best bets towards the end. As of now, though, we'll keep moving down the outline. Go to the American. Temple at SMU. Oh boy, this is a rematch. Temple has not played since they lost at home to SMU on December 30th. Meanwhile, SMU is off 2 straight home losses to Houston and Cincinnati, so you got to think they're a little angry. Man, it's tough to find a ton of value in the number here, guys, but I'm a Pony Express boy. I'm wearing today. I'm not locking it in on official show play, but I lean heavily towards SMU just because of the 2 straight home losses. I think they're going to be angry. I'm not super high on Temple this year as a squad. Matt, what do you got here? And one other thing I want to ask you, Matt, if you can dive into this angle. We keep waiting for SMU to slow down, but they had 77 possessions against Cincinnati. Do we just kind of got to put our hands up and say this is a running team this year? What do we got?
I think we do. It's surprising because we've seen Yornay play 4 games now. He's averaged about 15-ish minutes in those 4 contests, and that was the prevailing reason why we thought they'd slow down, right? You think that they might want to establish him occasionally on offense, run some post touches through him. He hangs his hat in the defense, man, but he's a competent offensive player as well. But he's basically had to run with them. King Kendrick, our boy Kendrick Davis. I will definitely not ever bet against him. I think this number is a little too steep for me to take full game. It feels like more of a first half type play, and we know SMU is notorious for kind of just lollygagging around in the second half after they have a huge lead. So I would take Pony's first half if anything. Kai, I know you kind of lean the other way though, don't you?
I do kind of lean Temple. The spread feels high. They haven't played in 12 days, like Jim says. That kind of worries me. Probably steer me off this game really over everything else. The last game they played against SMU, it was close the whole way. They lost by 8, which ended up pushing the line. But that game never got out of double digits. Temple was right there the whole time, which impressed me because I like Jim, was very low on them coming into the preseason, and they actually showed some fight. SMU hasn't covered in their last 3 games. They've been struggling just a little bit. Turnovers and shooting have, of course, been the 2 biggest bugaboos, but they've played Houston and Cincy, 2 very stifling defensive teams. So I just think it's too many points. I would lean Temple, but I got nothing, and I want Jim to win all the Pony Express money tonight.
Yeah, worth mentioning, Ane had 14 points and 5 blocks in that Temple game. So he's, I think this might be a good matchup for him.
Yeah, like I said, not locking it in as an official show play just because I agree the number is a little steeper than I would like to see it at. But it is 12 on KenPom, so I guess it's kind of like what the market sees it as. Just a lean towards SMU there, boys. I got to get it in for the Pony Express. Okay. All right, let's go to the Mountain West. We'll head west here. Boise State on the road at Wyoming. This is an intriguing one here. Boise State has been especially shaky in second legs of back-to-back. So, maybe not quite this one in the first leg, but as an 8.5 point road favorite here. Emmanuel Acot's status is up in the air, the Arizona transfer who missed the second Air Force game. Kai, are we just terrified of this Boise juggernaut, or do we think the home dog here might be live on a Monday night?
Yeah, Boise's been smash-delicious, guys, in the first leg of these series so far. Beat New Mexico by 24, San Jose State by 52, Air Force by 19 in the first legs of those. Wyoming just lost by 20 to Fresno in their last game. That was kind of gross. However, they are a lot better team at home. I just think they're a little too young, too erratic still for me to trust them. Boise's really a well-oiled machine, a top 60 offense. I know you guys like the other side, but I have a slight lean towards the Boise boys, Matt.
I think Acot's such a big presence for them. He's one of like 3 wings they have that are just terrifyingly long. He can handle it, make plays in space. I just think the home spot here, for Wyoming, Laramie, one of the toughest places to play in college basketball, notoriously one of the best home courts. Obviously, lack of fans will depress that slightly, but I just think the Pokes are the right side here. I think this is a coach we trust, an improving team, a team that was injured to start the year that could have some buy low value. Obviously, the result against Fresno in the back-to-back was concerning, but we've learned that you kind of need to throw out the stark differences between leg 1 and leg 2. So I'm trying to look past that. A bounce back spot here for Wyoming. I will be on the Pokes plus 8.5 if it's still there.
I think it's just 8 right now,
8,
but yeah,
I will take 8.
I'm taking 8 as well. This is my best bet. I'm taking the Cowboys. If Acot is out, then I like this even. I mean, I think it's great value at 8, but even with him possibly playing, I'm okay with 8. Boise's 58th in the country in 2-point jumpers taken. And Jeff Linder teams, Wyoming, they give up a ton of 2-point jumpers. So I think they're going to get Boise to take some bad shots, some shaky ones. They'll run them off the 3-point line and get them into that mid-range area where it's just not as efficient. So that math distribution helps the Cowboys just in general there. And like Matt said, I like the spot. I like the home dog. We will go with Wyoming here as a best bet. Matthew and I, Ky not riding with us, but that's okay. You don't need to ride with the Cowboys this time.
Transition D is important here. Boise is phenomenal in transition. It's just when they get ahead of steam with those length and the athletes they have there, they're tough to stop. So that's a key as well for Wyoming tonight.
Yep. All right. Last one on the slate was supposed to be Eastern Illinois at SIU Edwardsville. Unfortunately, that game is not happening. So we are taking over the outline, boys, and we are going to the battle for SWAC supremacy.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to talk Texas Southern at Prairie View A&M. Neither team has played in 2021 yet. They've got some extended time off for both squads. Both teams have some injury issues. As any SWAC team, you have lineup questions. Yes. People just randomly dropping in and out of the rotation like flies. It's hard to track. But, Matthew, both of these teams are led by a down transfer point guard that could be the difference maker here.
Well, that's kind of the key here. You're looking at Prairie View A&M and their highest usage player, I wouldn't say their best player, Fate Williams, has missed the last two, but coinciding with his absence has been the insertion of Ky Mack, former fringe all Big Ten conference caliber player. He's been a wagon the first two games. He led them to a really strong effort at TCU, only lost to TCU by 5 points last game. This Prairie View A&M team just doesn't skip a beat under Byron Smith. I think this is a major coaching mismatch. I think Texas Southern has the allure of all these sexy, talented up transfers. But Prairie View A&M is the better coach team, and they have their own version of a down transfer, I should say, from a Power 6 caliber conference. I have the best coach tonight. I have the best player on the floor tonight, in my opinion. Apologies to Marcus Weathers, who's phenomenal. I just think Ky Mack's that talented. I will be all over the Panthers in this one.
Yeah, I like Prairie View as well, guys. Like Jim said, the battle for SWAC supremacy. These two teams have finished top 3 in the league for 4 straight years. Both of them are very talented, much more talented than your average SWAC team. Ky Mack, like Matt said, is an excellent player, formerly of Nebraska. Michael Weathers for Texas Southern has been their alpha this year. He's formerly of Miami of Ohio and Oklahoma State. It just feels like one of those games, teams are evenly matched. I'm going to go with the home team. Prairie View, in my opinion, should be favored. So I like them at +1 at pick. They should force some turnovers. It's going to be a good game either way. Prairie View A&M would be my lean.
I actually kind of prefer the talent on Texas Southern, as Matt mentioned. I think Weathers is better than Ky Mack. I would take if they were playing one-on-one, I would take Weathers. But the coaching point is well taken. Johnny Jones is a mostly roll the balls out guy, whereas Byron Smith has shown time and again that he can kind of elevate his team to a level even above where the talent is. I think Prairie View, I should have double-checked this, but they've covered won and covered at home multiple times in a row in this matchup. I just think Jones has been outcoached a little bit by Smith. So I think you guys have the right side there. I'm not quite going to take it with you, but if anything, I would lean towards Prairie View A&M as well.
Just something to note here. Actually, 2 things. Fun fact: Byron Smith, I think, has a clause in his contract, a pretty big bonus for beating Texas Southern. So it's because these are 2 obviously perennial contenders. But they're also pseudo rivals. I believe they're only 40 minutes apart. Prairie View basically a suburb or just on the outskirts of Houston. So kind of a point against our Prairie View side here. Ky, home court won't be as strong, but I am positive I'm getting a motivated and ready to roll effort here from the Panthers.
Yep.
All right. That wraps up the show outline. Let's go over our best bets quick before we hit a quick chat section. I had Wyoming +8 as my best bet. And I joined on Utah +3 and DePaul +5. Sorry, I went out of order there. Lost to the outline. Matt, what about you?
Wow, I love to see it. You hate to see it. Well, actually, I love to see it personally. DePaul +5 is my best bet. Utah +3, Wyoming +8, Prairie View -1. I made it a slight favorite. I would still take -1. Obviously, you can get picker +1. Do that. And then the under for you and I, Bradley, 138. So I have a heavy slate for basically a tiny.
Spray in the board.
Utah +3 was my best bet, and that is all I am locking in today, fellas. Very small slate for me.
All righty. Ky keeping it conservative. Okay. Do either of you have some chat stuff we should go through?
Jim, someone asked about the pecking order in the SEC, which I thought was interesting. And my answer is a clear Tennessee sits at the top, and then it's just a huge gaggle of teams pick your order between Alabama, Florida, Mizzou, Arkansas, Kentucky, LSU. It's just all such a mashup after Tennessee. So I'm sorry that sounds very like fence rider-ish, but Jim, I can't pick them out. Alabama's certainly looking like the second best team currently, Matthew.
Yeah, Alabama won at Tennessee and they beat Florida kind of handily. Yeah. So I think you got to give it to Tennessee right now, or to Alabama number 2 right now. But we'll see how that shapes up.
I would put LSU right there with Alabama, to be honest. So I'm still a believer in this LSU team, even though Will Wade's coaching is maybe not what we thought when he was at VCU, but I think the talent is pretty divine there.
Kentucky's also 3-0 in the league, guys, and they just blew out Florida on the road.
They killed
Florida. Keep an eye on them with Keon Brooks back. What else we got?
Someone asked about South Carolina State, Florida A&M. I said we lean South Carolina State. We saw yesterday Florida A&M got almost beat by South Carolina State. They shouldn't be favored by 15 over anybody. So it's a huge line for me, Matt.
Yeah, Jim, you stepped this out.
Plug your nose, and take SC State.
Yeah. I mean, SC State is bad. Like Jim, I think you called this preseason. They're on the verge of Mississippi Valley State bad, in my opinion. They haven't played that bad so far, but I just think their lack of talent could really, push them down to that cellar. But still, it's 15 points in a MEAC game. I'm sorry, I'm not going to take the favorite there.
Yeah. Florida A&M has. I looked last year, and I think they won maybe one game by that many points, if that. It's not a good big favorite. They were down most of the game yesterday at South Carolina State. So, yeah, lean towards the dog.
Just a question here coming in from It's Stucky Racing, Alcorn Grambling. This is still tomorrow. That's right. I think there's half the SWAC games were moved or postponed. I'm trying to pick out which one we have not discussed yet.
We've hit all 8 games.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Let's go Final Fours, Jim.
Yeah, let's talk Final Fours.
Final 4 teams. Let's start with Ky because I just like putting the spotlight on Mr. McKeon. Ky, are you ready for this? Do you have your answer prepared?
Yeah. All right, Jim. I'm going pretty chalk here for me. Although I guess some people might disagree. I just saw a comment in here about Tennessee, which I think is totally false. Gonzaga, Baylor, Tennessee, Villanova would be my Final 4 today. People are forgetting about Villanova. Joe said, "Will they ever play another game this season?" Yeah. They're totally out of the spotlight right now. This team could be the 3rd best team in the country. They're excellent. Fully expect them to be a Final 4 contender come March.
Yeah, they won at Texas. I mean, that win looks better and better every single day. That was outstanding.
Yep. And since that game, they've won every game by double digits. So they've basically been a well-oiled machine since that impressive performance. I have no qualms with Villanova, Ky.
What do you got, Matthew?
I'm going with another Big East team, though, for one of my Final 4 picks. I think Creighton has been jaw on the floor impressive. I'm not ready to say they're better than Villanova, but in terms of picking Final 4 teams, I think this team has all the ingredients. They have a point guard who I would trust with my life and my family's life. Marcus Zagorowski, finally healthy. Talked about how he was playing.
He didn't play last game. I'm not sure he's healthy.
He will be healthy. He got past that. What was the injury he had earlier in the year? He got past that.
It was like his knee thing, but now, I'm not sure what his deal is.
So when he's out there, I think this team is. I think they have a chance to make a serious run. You have to go with the obligatory Gonzaga and Baylor picks. I'm not ready to anoint Michigan in that class I talked about earlier. So I'm going with Wisconsin, another Big Ten team. Apologies to Iowa and Michigan there. I think the buzz cuts are legit. This thing from Trice, where he's just been their go-to guy down the stretch in clutch games, I've been really impressed. So I think Scotty is a legit Final 4 contender.
Not for me, the Wisconsin guy. I think they
can't get there.
Yeah, I mean, almost losing twice at home already is not really a Wisconsin Badger thing. They lost to Maryland and probably should have lost to Indiana. So I don't know. I'm a little hesitant on their ceiling. I went with the Gonzaga Baylor twosome because they're just on a different planet than the rest of college basketball right now. I joined Ky on Tennessee, and I'm sticking to my Kelvin Sampson guns. I'm a Houston guy. I think they get there even without Grimes. Even without Mills. I love that backcourt. They're deep. They're really strong defensively. I'm a fan. I like this Houston team. So that's what I'm going with. Apologies to Texas, to Michigan. None of us mentioned them, but it's going to be a toss-up. Long way to go still.
A lot of hoop left. I think we're getting close to the halfway point, which is quite crazy. But
speaking of, I saw multiple people ask us about college football, guys. Should we give our really uninformed national championship takes?
We don't give a damn about the whole state of Michigan because we're from Ohio. Ohio State.
Yeah,
I honestly, I have zero take. Like, I have negative zero take.
I'm going to take Alabama -9, and you can make fun of me if they don't. Because again,
is that what the spread is right now? Oh, I
not really clued in. Yeah. Well, they've got the Heisman winner over there.
That's right.
Let's get college basketball on as the main sport. I'm excited for that, guys.
Yep. All right. Were there other big questions to get to? I did just get a notification. Dallas Walton definitely out tonight for Colorado, so that helps our Utah.
Good for
our Utah bets.
Yep. All right. I'll wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this Monday show of Three Man Weave, hosted by sportsbookreview.com. Again, head over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAB, the URL at the top of the screen. Lots more detail there. There's actually a nice written breakdown of the Utah-Colorado game. Check that out. They agree with us. Utah +3 as well. So check that out. And then also like and subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/SBRsports. Check out all the other sports that they have going on there. There's an NBA show. So if there's not enough college basketball games for you tonight, check that out. They'll have a great college football preview as well. Check that out. Lots of great stuff coming from our friends at SBR. But for us, we will sign off now. We will see you tomorrow, Tuesday, at the same time, same place. See you then, Chat Mob.